Welcome, everybody. Friday, May 26th. Sorry, I got things set up a little late here tonight. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report, here to talk to you about the latest news from Ukraine. As always, I'm going to get TikTok going here, and then we're going to wait about 2 minutes for folks to arrive on TikTok and YouTube and everywhere else. I have a new update to put on the screen there, because that is not the latest news we're talking about today. Hang on. There we go. All right. There we go. Sorry, we get TikTokers here. Boom. Boom. There we go. All right. Boop. Here we go. There's the TikTokers. Hey, TikTokers. There we go. That's the news for today. Excellent. There we go. All right, everybody, introduce yourselves. As always, we'll wait about 2 minutes for folks to arrive on TikTok and YouTube and Twitch and everywhere else. Good morning, Australia. Ashley, how are you? Hey guys. Flying out tomorrow, so getting ready. I've got to start packing too. Oh God, we were going to make Belgian waffles tonight, but I'm not convinced. Was that Mads? Thank you, Mads, for the heart. The heart. But yeah, we're going to do Belgian waffles tonight. The nice yeasty ones. But I've got to pack. It's not like packing's that hard, but when you're traveling, I just like to have it done. It's just like, we'll see. It shouldn't be too hard to pack. It's not like I bring that much stuff with me. Anyway, hello all. Woo, confetti. Thank you, Tom, for the confetti. So not a ton of news. Well, whatever. I always say not a ton of news and then we go long. So let's see. I don't feel like it's a ton of news, but maybe it's news. I don't know. We shall see. Anyway, and then back Monday in DC, my usual background. Hello all. Thank you for the glasses, Ron. Woo, man. Hi, UK. Jillian, maybe instead of Gillian. I'm gonna go with Jillian, like Gillian Anderson. That's gonna be my guess. Carlos Bond. Hello, Carlos. Hey, George on TikTok. Oop, how we doing? Another half minute. Let's wait another half minute for folks to arrive, and then we'll get rolling here. Yes, Joanna. Thank you. Oh, user 5607. Glad you're back. The other users it's not been the same without you. Oh, and thank you for the heart there on my head from somebody. John S. Thank you, John S. All right, guys, I'll get rolling. So welcome. This is John Aravosis. This is the Aravosis Report, my nightly show, Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about the latest news from Ukraine. Tonight, as always, thank you, user 33 something there, 67 for the hearts. Tonight, as always, I'm going to start with the news, and then the second half of the show, we're going to do Q&A, your guys' questions, but you can always submit questions at any time. On TikTok, feel free to submit questions via the Q&A link that is in my profile. Best way to do it because they line up and I won't miss them that way on the screen. They kind of fly by. Oh, hey, Red Watts. Good to see you. I think you may have just signed up on our Discord last night, I think. I thought I saw the little notification with your name because I remember the name. And you guys on Twitch and YouTube and everywhere else, you can submit questions at the bottom of the screen as a way of supporting my work because I do this for free. I do it full time. Thank you, Ellie. I very much welcome the gifts on TikTok like Ellie just did. And when I see them, I will try to do a shout out for any of the stuff that pops up on the screen. For you guys on YouTube, anybody who wants to submit a super chat question or just a super sticker to say thank you, very much appreciated. And as a thank you for the super chat questions, I will always get to those as the next thing I talk about. In other words, they get priority. So thank you for that, guys. Thank you, Martin, for the heart and Logan for the hat. All right, let's get rolling here. So it's day 456 of Vladimir Putin's 10-day special military operation. I wanted to start by giving you guys a quick update on the fundraiser we're doing, because you guys really came through. We were raising money, or we still are raising money for Ukrainian children in a hospice in Kharkiv. Thank you, Escapin, for the gift there. These are kids with terminal illnesses, and they're in hospice care, which basically means there's nothing else that can be done for them. Thank you, Nico. And they're getting, palliative care, painkillers, things like that. Well, it's a children's hospice, so they try to do things that children do. And we were reached by the person running the hospice, reached out to us and said, we really need some help for these kids. Thank you, Ernie, for that. We're trying to get games, but we're also trying to get pens and paper I mean, literally notebooks, just simple kind of things. And they asked us if we could raise $7 a kid to buy 200 kits, basically 200 sets of some toys, some notebooks, some pencils. Well, with your guys' help, we raised that money last night. We raised $1,400. Vlad reached out to them today and said, look, if we keep doing this for a couple more days and get more money, can you use it? They said, absolutely. They're hoping to buy now another 70 kits. Now, that's only $200. I'm sure we'll get it. But, Ukraine is not a rich country to start with. I mean, the standard of living or I forget the annual income. The average annual income, I think, is like, I don't want to get this wrong. I think it's like 4,000 or 5,000. Thank you, Kanowski. Let me see if my phone can tell me. What's the average annual income in Ukraine? I don't phrase that well. Okay, that's really not helpful. Average salary in Ukraine is 1 million hryvnia per year. Okay. What is 1.1 million divided by 35? 30,000? That's kind of high. I'm surprised. That number's coming a little high. I think they're less than that. That's a lot for Ukraine. But in any case, they don't make the kind of money we make here. Yeah, I was going to say 7,500 is the amount. That's not right. It was around 5,000 or 6,000 when I looked at it. Yeah, 7,500 sounds right. Yeah, it's definitely not 30,000. So they make a lot less than we do. In any case, bottom line here, I'm going to start with the news, but we are still raising money for this children's hospice. We talked to them and they said, yes, we need another $200 to buy 70 more of these kits for the kids. And if we get extra money, get this, if they get extra money, they're going to use it to buy sports stuff for the kids. In other words, not baseballs, but whatever one does in Ukraine, soccer balls, things like that. So they said that's what they're going to use it for if we get extra money. So as I said, 100% of the money is going to these kids. It's going for, we've already got, I got to tell you, Russian troll, again, this happened last night. Kind of making fun and mocking children who are dying in the hospital when people are trying to help them out only shows who you guys really are and who the Ukrainians keep saying you are, that you're very shallow, evil people. I just want to, because I mean, literally, like there's lots of things you can troll about, but you're going to troll about the fact that we're raising money for dying kids. Okay, guys. In any case, help us out, guys. We'd love to raise another 1,000, even if we could. You can donate via my, on TikTok, go to my profile, hit the little link in my profile. The very first thing that will come up, I will even show you. The very first thing that will come up will be, hang on here. Oops, my profile. Okay, we go to my profile. We hit the link. And thank you for the Edsel for the Friday gift. And the very first thing that comes up on the page with the Ukrainian flag tells you Vlad's PayPal information. So you will go into your PayPal. You will use Vlad's PayPal and send the money. You guys can do the same thing. Go to aravosis.com. And you'll see this page of links. Very top link will give you Vlad's PayPal address, okay? But please do help, guys. You were amazing last night. Again, more money we get is more money for children in Ukraine who are dying. Nothing can be done. I mean, these are terminally ill kids, but we want to help get them some toys, get them sports, etc. Stuff for sports. So if you can help, I'd really appreciate it. Let me throw up the banner. That's Vlad's info for you guys. And let's get rolling. Okay, so really weird report today coming from the Ukrainians. I say weird, just meaning not weird. I don't know what to call it. It's very odd. Vlad. Yeah, I've been working with Vlad. I didn't throw that in. I've been working with Vlad for over a year now on this stuff. My nephew's been working with Vlad for 7 years now as a tech consultant. He's hired Vlad like for 7 years now. So he knows Vlad very well. I've known Vlad for over a year. All of our fundraising we've been doing, all the fundraising we've been doing directly for Ukraine has been going through Vlad. So I would say we've raised almost $100,000. I would say 80% of it has probably gone through Vlad. Thank you, Lee, for that. 70 to 80% has gone through Vlad. Totally trustworthy. That's all I can tell you. Yeah, I've known this guy. He's great. So yes, this is the fundraising we always do. Actually, you know what? Speaking of which, let me show you really quick. You may recall a few weeks ago, we did some fundraising only because, again, that was a good question. We should be upfront and, transparent about the fundraising stuff. We did some fundraising a few weeks ago to help buy vehicles for some Ukrainian troops who were just fighting in Bakhmut. And you remember Bakhmut's the place where the big fighting's been going on and the Russians have been trying for 11 months. And it looks like maybe the Russians took it in the last week, but the Ukrainians may get it back. So let's see what happens. But these troops that were fighting there had their cars destroyed in Bakhmut. Not surprising because it's been just I mean, to say it's a war zone is not saying significant. Bakhmut has been the biggest fighting of the war, really. So anyway, we raised money, $2,000 from you guys, another $4,000 from Ukrainians, and we were able to buy them a new vehicle. The vehicle just got painted, so that's the paint job. Hold on, that's the other picture of the vehicle. Oh, sorry, go above. Thank you for the fries there, Marino. So there you go. That's for you guys. That's the vehicle. It's finally got the new paint job, and that's another picture of it. And Vlad said I could show you guys. There's no risk in showing you. So very cool. Just wanted to show you. So thank you guys. Thank you for helping out on that one too. Let's get rolling. So the weird intelligence report from Ukraine. The Ukrainians came out today and said that Vlad does pitch in his own pocket. Yes, he does. The Ukrainians came out today and said that in the next few hours, the Russians are planning on doing on attacking the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant is a huge Ukrainian nuclear plant, the biggest Ukrainian nuclear plant because it's the biggest nuclear plant in Europe overall. So it's clearly the biggest one in Ukraine. It's right here. You see the river here, the Dnipro River. It's right on the north side of the river. You see the river kind of goes up right at the top point, south side of the river, but at the top point of land right there. And this is still occupied by the Russians because remember, the Russians occupy everything south of the river and then over here. So this is still Russian-occupied land of Ukraine. The Russians are occupying the nuclear plant, and the Ukrainians are saying they've got intelligence that in the next few hours, the Russians were planning at least to attack the plant. They were going to bomb it. They were going to do something with military assets, whether it was bombing it, missiles, or whatever. They were going to blame the Ukrainians and say the Ukrainians attacked it, and then the Russians were going to release some radiation in the air. Now, in order to pretend the plant was leaking radiation. Now, it wouldn't be a real accident. It would be a fake accident. They would just blow it up. We have the best trolls. I don't care about Ukraine. Then why are you in a Ukrainian chat? I ask you. Boris, not doing so good. Не очень хорошо. So they're going to let off a bomb. They are going to drop, let go some radiation, whether from the plant or something. In other words, they're not going to blow up the plant. They're going to literally have some radiation ready to go, like in a bottle, ready to go that they're going to let in the air, have the detectors all go off, and say, oh my God, massive nuclear disaster at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. We must shut it down. We must shut down the whole area, just like Chernobyl. And basically, they want to shut down the entire area, have international inspectors come. But of course, in order to shut down the entire area for miles and miles and miles, and to have the international inspectors come safely, get this, we must have a ceasefire for a long time in order to let us inspect this nuclear plant. So the idea is basically, thank you, JRD. The idea is the Russians would use this in order to force a ceasefire. Why do the Russians want a ceasefire? Because they're desperate to hold on to the land they've got. The Ukrainians are getting ready for the big counteroffensive. It's coming anytime now. And the Russians want to hold this land as much as possible. And the best way to hold it is to have a ceasefire. Because if there's a ceasefire, rather than the Russians having to fight the Ukrainians all along here, the Russians can spend the next few months just digging in more and more and more, digging more defenses, letting their men rest, right? Letting their men rest and just get more energy, get them fed, get them new weapons, right? Ceasefire only helps the guys who are already controlling the land, which is the Russians. So in any case, it's a weird story. The fact that the Ukrainian Defense Ministry is saying it and the military, the intelligence folks, I believe it. I will say this, a couple of things going on here. One, by going public, you stop the Russians from doing it because the Russians, if this is real, the Russians would hope for the element of surprise. Thank you, Bonnie. And they would hope that this explosion would happen and everybody would say, we don't know who did it. We think the Russians, but who knows? And then we'd have a ceasefire investigation, right? By the Ukrainians calling them out, there's no way the Russians can do this now. They can't. I mean, it'll be, if this happens, it's not an accident. The Ukrainians knew it was coming 3 hours before. It clearly was the Russians who did it. Now, the only other possibility that I think Daniel had said over in on our Discord today, we hang out and talk about this stuff all day long, discord.aravosis.com. Go check out our Discord. Like I said, we hang out and talk about this stuff all the time, but we were talking in the Discord. And one possibility Daniel said, which I thought was interesting, was what if Ukraine had said this in order to freak the Russian troops out around Zaporizhzhia? Thank you, LWD, for the heart. And basically get them running. Like the Russian troops hear this and go, holy crap, we're getting out of here. Well, if that were to happen, you'd have a better chance of taking the plant back. So it's possible it's a Ukrainian diversion. I don't know. But there's something going on here. Another big story today, but this is kind of a weird story. The Netherlands will likely send F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine after pilot training, according to two people familiar with the matter. Now, I don't like these stories that are likely, because likely can be unlikely too, right? It's not a done deal. So it's a little weird that someone in the Netherlands is leaking information, probably the Netherlands, is leaking information saying, they're likely to give Ukraine F-16 fighter jets. I mean, it's not really news until they do it, but who knows? Little background on this. Netherlands has 42 F-16 fighter jets, 24 of which are currently being used by the Dutch army. I think this is from Sky News, I'm pretty sure, and can't be sent to Ukraine until mid-2024. A dozen of the other 18 jets were sold. Any case, bottom line is they can get hopefully a couple dozen of these jets, possibly. We'll see if the Dutch go through with it. But Ukraine probably wouldn't get the jets till next year. Thank you, Loop, for the heart there. They probably wouldn't get the jets till next year. Nasty news today. Russia attacked a hospital and a veterinary clinic in Dnipro. 2 people have died. And I can show you here. 2 people have died. 31 have been injured, including 2 children. Dnipro's here. I was going to say, it always confuses me because the longer name is Dnipropetrovsk, but I think Dnipropetrovsk and Dnipro are right next to each other. Or it's the same. I don't think it's the same. Help me out, Ukrainians. It's not the same name, right? Dnipro, I think, is right next to Dnipropetrovsk. Correct me if I'm wrong, or if it's just a short name for it. Either way, it's right here. It's not occupied, right? Because the occupation is here, so it's further over. It's on the river here. But anyway, it is the same thing. Okay, thank you. Okay, used to be called. Okay, my T-shirt map has the old name. That's why. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you, Tom, for the origami. The Russians used cruise missiles and they attacked a hospital and a veterinary clinic. Thank you, Kanausi, because that's what they do. I was watching the NewsHour, which is a big show here in America, the other night, and they were saying, I believe it's up to almost 700 or so medical facilities that the Russians have now attacked in Ukraine. They go out of their way to hit hospitals because, actually, one of them admitted this. They're doing it because they want people to die. I mean, they want soldiers to die, but they want civilians to die too. Meaning, if the hospital's gone, then you attack civilians like you do. Like the Russians are always attacking civilians, right, on purpose. But if they blow up the hospitals, then the civilians have nowhere to go, and the civilians die once they hit apartment buildings. I mean, the people who survive the apartment building go to the hospital, but there's no hospital, they die. So the Russians are doing it to basically kill more. Couple explosions going on. A couple places Ukraine's been attacking. There was an explosion near the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol. That's all the way down here. Azovstal is the steel plant where the 2,000 Ukrainian troops were fighting off the 14,000 Russian troops for about 2 months, very famously. That's here. And this is clearly Ukrainians attacking some Russian military target is what's going on. There was also large explosions in a small village in Belgorod, about 10 miles into Russia. Belgorod, you'll recall, is the province that's up here. The town of Belgorod is also up here, right near Kharkiv. 10 miles in is pretty close to the town of Belgorod, really. It's right across the border here. Again, Belgorod, the town and region, are really important for logistics for the Russian troops in eastern Ukraine. So the Ukrainians are always attacking that area because it's basically knocking out weapons or fuel or whatever that will be helping the troops in the area. One moment, please. Oh, this was kind of good too. So, the current U.S. chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in America is our top-ranking military official. Thank you, Dora. Uniformed military official, right? Thank you, Bonnie, for the little thingy, the little bear. The Secretary of Defense is a civilian position, and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs is the uniformed military position, but he's not the head of the Pentagon. The head of the Pentagon is the Secretary of Defense, and then the big boss, the commander-in-chief, is the president, right? So in any case, but very big guy, obviously, top uniformed military official in the U.S. military. General Milley said 2 things this week. One was that Russia can no longer achieve victory over Ukraine through military means, which was very interesting. He thinks It's done for Russia. They're not going to. Now, achieving victory means Russia had planned to overthrow the entire country. Russia had planned to capture the entire country, to overthrow the government, etc. That's never going to happen now. Not never, but it's not happening this war. Secondly, and this part I thought was interesting, he said, Ukraine is capable of liberating all of its territories. That was interesting. Milley, you will recall several months ago, was putting a much more dour spin on it, right? Or a dour and dire spin on it, saying, it would take years, and Crimea, especially Crimea, maybe someday. But he was very negative in his assessment of how the Ukrainians would do. This is interesting, saying Russia's not going to win now, and Ukraine could get everything back. Now, he still may think Ukraine could get everything back over a couple of years, right? It may not happen immediately, but that's very interesting. Quick pitch for my Discord. So I set up, with the help of our wonderful tech guy and friend, Syndicate, we set up a new way for you guys to support my work and to support via Discord. So we got a Discord set up, Discord chat community, discord.aravosis.com. You can check it out. Links in the profile on TikTok. You guys can just go to aravosis.com and you can find it. But one of the things we do, it's free. There's a lot of cool stuff. Thank you, Benny. We're chatting all day about it. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate that. Anthony just gave me a super chat question that was a thanks. Thank you for that. But the Discord, we're talking all day about the issues, a lot about Ukraine today, especially. But we were going nuts on Ukraine today. But we're talking all the time about Ukraine. So it's free. So it's kind of fun to go if you'd like to talk about this stuff, because we hang out. I mean, I'm checking in all day. A number of us, the moderators, Ben is there all day. Roshin, none of us have lives. But I mean, a lot of us are there. It's really fun. But what we also have are some auctions of Ukrainian stuff. I've been getting cool stuff from Ukraine. We auction it off. 50% of the money gets sent back to Ukraine for aid, and 50% goes to support me, because I do this full time and it's my job, and nobody pays me except you guys. So I don't actually have an income from anybody to do this. So my income is you guys. Part of it is the auction. So go check those out. We got a lot of cool stuff in the auctions this week. But the other thing is, we set up yesterday a new way for you guys to give me support. Instead of Patreon has gone evil. Patreon is basically opposed to anybody supporting Ukraine. Really evil. They've done this to Ukrainian creators for a while now. They did it to me a few weeks ago, sent me a nasty note because I'm using this to raise money, that some of it goes back to Ukraine, and they don't support war. I think it's some flaky San Francisco. I mean, I say this as somebody not on the right, but I think it's a flaky San Francisco thing, or they've got somebody who's Russian. Thank you, Bonnie, for that, influencing them. But Patreon basically threatened me, so I had to disconnect Patreon from my Discord. So the good way to pay, but this is a good thing, because now you can join my Discord if you want to be a paying member. 100% of the money will go to me by using the coffee site, ko-fi.com/aravosis. Again, link is in my bio on TikTok. You guys, Anthony, I'm going to get that off. Thank you for that. You guys, the link is at the bottom of the screen for y'all. Thank you, Happy Beach. But it's a neat way, because basically with the coffee site, you can go and you can just give a contribution, right? If you want to give me $10 to support my work, give me $10. 100% of it goes to me, which is very cool. Second thing, you can give a monthly donation. So you can set it up so that every month you give me $5 or something, which would be really nice, because it's nice to sort of have the income spread out. Third, you can join our membership. There's a membership button, and it allows you to become a VIP member of our Discord community. 3 different categories, like $7.99, $25, whatever it is. Again, 100% of the money goes to me, rather than on Discord, it was like 10%. Patreon was like 10 or 13% that they took. 100% will go to me. So it's pretty cool. And on Coffee, you can give the money and link it so you become a VIP member on Patreon. The instructions are there how to do it. It's pretty simple, but read the page. It'll tell you how to do it. But bottom line is, it's a really useful site for supporting my work, and I'd appreciate if you guys would check it out. I always say, if you've been watching me for several months and you like my work and you think it's good, if you could support me, I would appreciate it, because ain't nobody doing it but you guys. So you're the ones paying my salary. So thank you for this, guys. Again, the link is in my profile. It's ko-fi.com/aravosis. But go to my profile on TikTok, the Linktree link, click it, and right below the fundraiser we're doing is the coffee link. Go through, and as I said, if you can help, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Who is this? Annie Cat. Big thanks for everything. Thank you, Annie, from Sweden. I love Sweden. I've been to Sweden twice. Liked it very much. Went to Gotland. in addition to Stockholm, and Gothenburg, I think is what you call it, out in the west, the southwest by the university. All right. So Lindsey Graham today, this was kind of interesting. Thank you, Teresa, for the origami. Lindsey Graham, United States Senator, Republican, went to Kyiv today, to Ukraine, in a surprise visit. This is really good. Lindsey Graham is conservative Republican. He's a Trump. It's funny. He was a John McCain Republican. John McCain died, and he switched and became a Trump Republican. Lindsey Graham is an opportunist. He's a conservative Republican, but he is an opportunist, and that's bad because in any issue, if you want someone's support, it's good to have. Thank you, Summer, for who was that? Real quick, Summer with the raccoon and Loop with the cotton shell. On any issue, it's good to have somebody supporting you, but it's a little risky having somebody support you who just kind of goes with the wind. So like Lindsey Graham does support Ukraine, but as I said, he was John McCain who hated Donald Trump and hated each other. Then he was Donald Trump. I mean, like total ridiculous. You aren't for a John McCain's best friend and then Donald Trump's best friend. It doesn't work that way unless you're just a suck up. Nonetheless, it is important he went because he is a big supporter of Ukraine, which is great. Thank you, Teresa, for the heart. Big supporter of Ukraine. Went there, even criticized Biden, which in a way I'm glad, and said we need to send ATACMS, which are the long-range missiles that Biden is still refusing to send that can go 200 miles or 300 kilometers. He's still refusing to send them, but nonetheless wants us to send those, was calling for other, I'm forgetting, I don't remember what else it was, the F-16s or something else he was calling. Oh, ATACMS and cluster bombs, cluster munitions as well. So anyway, it's important that he was there because we obviously need more Republicans supporting Ukraine, and he's been a good supporter. So this was good. This is very good. Corruption in Russia. I just thought I'd talk about this briefly, but there are more reports about corruption with the Russian military. And let me read this from you. It's a couple tweets by Chris Owicki, who's a good sort of defense analyst on Twitter. He said, corrupt Russian officers are said to be allowing mobilized soldiers to stay at home in Russia in exchange for half of the soldiers' salaries. Several such sitting soldiers have been denounced by Svetlana Chvanova, a pro-war Russian activist. Chanova alleges that some mobilized men have hatched a scheme in which commanders divide their salaries in half with the mobilized and pretend that the servicemen are at the front lines, while in reality the latter walk home. Oh, Russia. I mean, again, I think it's great because anything, you're okay, Sasha. Anything that makes, motorcycle went by, Sasha, you're okay. Sasha hates motorcycles, so motorcycle went by and I had a little bit of a stirring on the seat next to me. Anything that makes Russia more corrupt and makes the military more corrupt makes them less useful, and that's good for Ukraine. So, yay. Did the rules change on what people can say? I don't think so. Anything happen, Syndicate? I don't know. You mean on YouTube? I don't know. Did something change? The nuclear weapons. Oh, let me talk about China first, real quick. So China is still rabble-rousing on this freezing the conflict in place. They want a ceasefire. They want a ceasefire because Russia wants a ceasefire. We've already talked about why Russia wants it, because basically they hold 17% of Ukrainian land, and the longer they can have a ceasefire, the longer they can dig in and give their troops a chance to recuperate, because their troops have been fighting all these months. So China, of course, who's doing it for Russia, is calling for a ceasefire. NATO spoke out today and said, go away, which was good. Thank you, Marcy, for that. Nuclear weapons moving into Belarus. So yesterday I'd reported that that the Russians and the Belarusians, the Belarus is a dictatorship right northwest of Ukraine, right up here. It's Russia itself is kind of over here. Belarus is here, and kind of goes here. Run by a dictator named Lukashenko for like the last 30 years or something. Thank you, Tom, for the heart. And he's a puppet of Putin. Putin wants to take over the country. He's been gradually doing it. I mean, it's been like this gradual, more and more taking it over. I think he is absolutely going to eventually annex Belarus. He's going to try. Putin's going to try at least. Thank you, Lori, for the star. And yesterday they signed like an agreement to move nuclear weapons into Belarus. The small tactical nuclear weapons. A couple things going on here. First of all, are they? Who knows? Russia, as I always say, what's the number one rule about, hit my mic. What's the number one rule about Russia? Russia lies. So Are they going to send these nukes? Thank you, Louis, for the little dancing cactus. Are they going to send the nukes? Maybe, but Russia lies. Russia will say they sent the nukes and they won't even have sent them. And again, and they're talking about nukes just to freak us out. It's only to freak you out. It's to freak out Western leaders. That's it. Doesn't really matter that they're moving the nukes. I mean, it just doesn't really matter that they're. I don't think it matters. They're moving the nukes there, even if they do. But they're probably lying. Sean Bell on Sky News mentioned an interesting point. Thank you, Tom Clark. That what's going on here isn't really an effort to scare NATO. It's an effort to cement Russia's control over Belarus, because by moving the nukes in, they've got to move even more Russian troops in. And with the war, they're moving more Russian troops in. And basically, he said they're slowly and stealthily invading. He used the word invasion. He said it's a Russian invasion of Belarus by stealth, so that they're doing this to take over the country. And by moving in the nukes, they need troops to operate the nukes. So basically, at some point, Belarus is going to find that it's got so many Russian troops that there's going to be a coup. Putin's going to be in charge, and there's nothing they're going to be able to do about it, other than the people rising up, which they will. But it's going to be a scary uprising. Price of natural gas in Europe has reached a 2-year low. Thank you. Oh, boy. Kara? I'm going to say Kara for the sail away. That's my guess at your name, Kara. But thank you for that. The price of natural gas in the European Union has reached a 2-year low. The war has only been on for a year, folks. So it's even before then, which means Putin's whole plan to use gas as a weapon, natural gas as a weapon against the Europeans, has now gone totally kaput. And finally, the Turkish presidential runoff is this weekend. Remember, they had the first election 2 weeks ago on Sunday. The final election is this Sunday between two people, Erdogan, the wannabe dictator, and the opposition leader, whose last name starts with a K and we cannot pronounce. Let's see what happens. I think a lot of people are worried that Erdogan's going to pull this off. Thank you, TikTok, for the TikTok novice for the Animo slime. But let's see what happens. But that's Sunday. That's going to be a big deal, because the opposition guy certainly is more anti-Russian, more pro-democracy, which is good. So we'll see. All right, that is it for the news. Keep the gifts coming, keep the super chats coming, and let's do questions. All right. Thank you again for your welcome. Let's do questions, guys. Boom, but do keep the gifts coming. Keep the gifts coming. All right. Questions. Hang on, TikTok. Happy. Why did I not pick? Thank you, Magical. I should have picked the Happy Friday thing as the gift that I showcase. It didn't even. I always forget that gift exists. Thank you for that. Totally space out on that one. It's funny. It should be an obvious one, you'd think. Is it true? Who is this? Ocean of Flove? Is it true many Russian soldiers are giving up at the borders to help Ukrainian soldiers to fight to bring down Russia? Who knows? I say that because we just don't know. The Ukrainians have been saying, thank you. Oh, that's a very nice one, Ron. Thank you. And Logan for the fire there. Thanks for the Frank-tastic, Ron. From the beginning of the war, the Ukrainians have been claiming that there are, thank you, Mark, that there are Russian troops who are basically defecting, like they're capturing them, and then they're joining the Ukrainian forces, joining a special unit of Russian troops. I believe this unit are the men allegedly that went and attacked Russia this week. Remember these attacks that were going on north of Kharkiv, around here, and also some in Sumy here, from Russians attacking Russia? I think some of them are those men. Thank you, Bonnie. For example, one of these guys that joined this one of the men that Russia claims was fighting for Russia, got picked up by the Ukrainians, right? Prisoner of war, and volunteered to fight for Ukraine, is the guy that was flying the fighter jet that we're selling pieces of, we're auctioning off pieces of. Don't have any auction this week of it, but we've auctioned off several pieces of the guy's jet, because it was knocked down. It was knocked down over. Thank you, Vaughn, for the hearts there. It was knocked down. The Ukrainians shot it down in March of last year, and the Ukrainians were basically been selling pieces of it for charity. Thank you, Rainbow. Have been selling pieces of it for charity, and we bought several, so I've been auctioning them off. But actually, there is a piece this week. I forgot about that. Of course, there's a piece this week. Sorry, Mustard. Got to tell people. Thank you, PS Pam Pam. There is a piece this week. Totally forgot about that. That we're auctioning off. And anyway, that guy supposedly joined this Russian freedom fighter, whatever they are. Are they actually doing it? I don't know. Personally, I could see Russian soldiers whose heart are not in the fight. I could see Russian soldiers who don't want to fight, but what choice do you have? You live in Russia, you're going to get, you're going to get killed if you don't join the military. But seeing Russian soldiers go to Ukraine and then start fighting for Ukraine, knowing they can never go home again, I don't know. You know what I mean? Who knows? I mean, I'm sure there's some. I mean, we know some of them, have attacked Russia, but I just don't know. I just don't know how many there would be. But maybe. You got the owner of a lovely piece of an SU-34. This one's an SU-30SM that we are auctioning, but that's funny. Yeah, it's a neat piece of the history. All right, let me pull up another question. Obviously, I'm sorry. Does Ukraine use? Here's an interesting question. This is a good question, actually. Does Ukraine use the name Belgorod or the original Bilhorod? Now, I was Googling Bilhorod today, actually. Thank you, Rainbow, because people were asking me a couple days ago, like, are you going to talk about what's going on in Bilhorod? I thought they meant Belgorod, but we're just using the Ukrainian name. But then I was Googling and saw that there is a Ukrainian town of Bilhorod, like near Crimea, right? Or I think it's near Crimea. So then I wasn't quite sure. No, it's not near Crimea. It's down by Odessa. Excuse me. It's right southwest of Odessa. So then I wasn't quite sure. Anyway, so do Ukrainians use the name Bilhorod for Belgorod or not? Or do they just say Belgorod? Bilhorod is the most appropriate pronunciation? Really? But how do the Russians say it? But the Russians would say Gorod, I'm sure, right? They wouldn't say Khorod. Thank you, Mark Starr, for the paper crane. Ukrainians use both. Okay. And what's the name in Russian? Is it Bilgorod in Russian? Belgorod? I have to sort of, I speak enough Russian. I mean, that I could, if I saw it in Cyrillic, I could say it. But somebody want to post it in Cyrillic? Thank you, Tom, for the C stuff there. If somebody can post it in Cyrillic, I can tell you what it is. Otherwise, but I'm just curious. Bielgorod. So it's Belgorod or Bielgorod? Okay, but they're doing the y for the eh. Like, well, you know what's funny? Okay, that's funny because in English, you guys corrected me. In English, I always used to say Belarus because Belarus is the way I learned to say it when I was studying Russian back in the day. You guys say Belgorod. Okay, interesting. But somebody wrote Belgorod. Any case. All right. Oh, very cool gift. Oh, who was that? Oh, 2 cool gifts. Hello. That was fun. I've never seen the sheep. Thank you, Happy Beach. That's a new one. I did not see them before. Wait, and who was the cameo? Oh, cameo with the mermaid. That's another one. Thank you for that. That was a very nice one. Very nice. Okay. Best guess for the counteroffensive? Who knows? I mean, to some degree, sorry, we've got, I think we had new. Oh, you're being very funny. Okay, 1 second here. I've got 2 new super chats here. Let me answer this one first really quick. On the, for you guys, in terms of the counteroffensive, I heard today that the ground was driest, I don't know if it's in Ukraine or in the south, in the occupied areas, the ground was most dry in Zaporizhzhia and Kherson of all the regions, like of all the occupied regions at least. And Zaporizhzhia is here, Kherson is here. And the ground needs to be dry for the Ukrainian troops to be able to attack because the tanks need to be able to go in the fields and everything and not be just stuck on the roads. If they're stuck on the roads, they're going to get blown up. Whereas in the fields, they're spread out more, they can hide, etc. So the ground being super dry or being the most dry here is a good thing. Thank you, Colonel Mustard, is a good thing here. But is it dry enough for them to begin? Also, what weapons are they still waiting for, right? I mean, part of the reason we believe the Ukrainians are holding off on the counteroffensive is some more weapons are still, we know weapons are always coming in, but maybe they've got a number of tanks they're expecting in the next week or 2, or maybe even last week, right? So they may be waiting for just a few more weapons to come. Who knows? I mean, we just don't know. Now, I will say, we're clearly seeing preparations for this. All of these attacks going on, the attack across the border in Russia this last week, the attacks today in Mariupol, in Belgorod, Bilhorod, happening up there are all preparations, shaping exercises, preparations for the counteroffensive. So it's clearly getting closer because all of this is picked up. But is it happening anytime soon? Who the hell knows? I mean, we don't know. We just don't know. Mario, Russian needs to say Dnipropetrovsk on the map again. Bup, here you go, Russian. Very nice. Again. How do you say again in Russian? It's not no, Ili's or, I think. How do you say again? I'm just curious. Actually, or Russian and Ukrainian. I should try to learn. I'm trying to get both of my language. Well, Ukrainian, I don't even speak Ukrainian. Russian, what do I say? Nemnoga. Ukrainian, forget it. Thank you for the fireworks there, Purnell. And Mustard with the strange little guy with the heart. Oh, thank you for the hat there, Mustard. How much does it affect that Russia blew up the damn Karlivka? Is that the dam? Well, there's two things going on here. Wait, I'm trying to remember. I'm not the expert on this one. Is this the bridge or is this the flooding that's going on? Which one is that? Annie? I'm not totally Yeshoras. Okay. Yeshoras. I think that's how I'm going to pronounce that. Yeshoras or Pyats. Pyats is the word I learned. That's the word I learned. Yeah. Pyats. Pyats sounds like that's not 5. What's 5? Purnell. Thank you, Purnell. Oops, sorry. We've got a couple things here. Brad. I am not up on I'm not up on either of those too much though. I know the which one is it real quick? Is that the bridge or is that the flooding that's going on? The bridge I'm not up on. I know they'd blown up a bridge, probably in Zaporizhzhia or Kherson, I think, but I'm not really up on the significance of it. But there's also a lot of flooding going on in that region as well, which is also another problem. But I don't think I'm going to be very helpful with you. Thank you, Soren, for that. Annie, I don't know. I really am not up on it. I'm sorry. Oops, sorry, a couple of things here. It's the flooding. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, the thing that I don't recall is if the flooding is happening in the same area, though I suspect it is, it's got to be the same flooding that we're worried about around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. Because remember, initially we were worried about the Russians basically breaking that whatever they were going to do, they were going to knock down the water so there wouldn't be enough water for cooling of the plant, of the nuclear plant. Now the concern is that the water is so high that it's flooding everything out. And it still could cause problems at the plant because if it floods at the plant, you could knock out the generators, etc. That's the only thing I know. The only thing is, it depends how far the flooding goes, right? Because all I know is at least earlier, when we were worrying about the flooding earlier, we're worrying about the Russians breaking maybe the dam. I don't remember if the dam, the Kakhovka Dam or whatever was down here. I think it was down here, and that's how you got these big bodies of water. The concern was they were going to blow the dam here, and they were going to flood all of this in order to make it harder for the Ukrainians to invade, because Russia controls south of the river. In order to make it harder for the Ukrainians to come across the river, they were going to flood all of this. So, but I just don't know if that's part of the same flooding that's going on here, that potentially it's being done to threaten the nuclear plant, but also make it harder for the Ukrainians to finally invade with the counteroffensive. That's what I got. Hang on. Okay, and then Soren and Bjorn. It's Scandinavian Day with Soren and Bjorn. Thank you guys both. All right, Danish, and I'm gonna Bjorn. I don't know though. Are you Swedish? You've got pounds there. No, you got euros there. Sweden doesn't have euro. That makes you Norwegian? No. What would you be, Bjorn? I'm just curious, Bjorn. Soren, I can tell. It's Danish, it says. But because it's euros, it means you're not Swedish, I'm guessing, or you're in a country that has euros, maybe. Because I do know I've been in Sweden. I remember they didn't have euros. Unless I'm crazy. No, Sweden didn't have euros. You have krona still. Yeah. Shiraz or Znov? Oh, in Ukrainian. Shiraz, Znov. Oh, God. These words. Every word drives me crazy. There's a new word for everything in Ukrainian. All right. Mark. Oh, see, what is it with phones that do that? Should there not be a better way for phones not to turn on the light? Wouldn't it be an obvious thing? It's amazing to me how often that light goes on. No. Groovy Mander's asking, did all 2,000 soldiers die at the Azovstal steel plant when they were holding off the Russians? No, there were at least 1,000 or so. Swedish name, but from Germany. That's it. Okay. I wasn't. Oh, do you guys use? But you guys use the boom boom as okay. That's okay. I was just curious about that. That makes sense then. All right, thank you. The sorry, I was looking at Bjorn's answer and forgetting. Oh, so the soldiers Azovstal, at least 1,000 of them, I believe. Jens is Swedish as well. Oh, interesting. Okay, at least 1,000 of them were captured by the Russians. Obviously, a lot of them died. I'm not. Help me out here, folks. Was it more than 1,000? I thought it was around 1,000 that were taken prisoner at that point. Pretty sure. And I don't know if all of them have been released because remember the Russians were going to charge them as terrorists and everything. Then some of the prisoner swaps actually returned to some of the Azovstal folks. There have been recent prisoner swaps, but I think those were Bakhmut prisoners. I don't think they were Azovstal. But in any case, there was, I think, at least 1,000 people that were taken prisoner there. So a lot of them did survive, which is good. And they're heroes now. I mean, like, especially the ones that returned home, they're total heroes, which is great because it's another symbol for Ukraine, Let me see. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, well, that's an interesting question. I don't know the charges. Mordu was saying, what were the charges the 3 engineers got for treason? That one's interesting because maybe it's not linked to the hypersonic, but there were 3 engineers or 3 scientists who worked on the 106 from Bakhmut. I thought it was a recent Bakhmut thing. Yeah, there were 106. There were 3 nuclear scientists, who worked on the hypersonic missile that Russia has. Remember the missile that goes, 5 or 10 times the speed of sound, or all right. I'm going to make sure my sound is correct. Blue Snowball, my mic. All right. How's my mic now, guys? All right. Let's see. Sorry. I know I'm okay with you guys, but for you guys, YouTube, etc., it's good now. Okay. I think sometimes it slips out of the back of my microphone. It's a really bad connection. This Blue Snowball, great mic, cheap mic, great mic, shitty connection. It's just a very bad connection. In any case, the thing is, supposedly this was going on before, like the investigation of them. So I don't know if it's possible these scientists were investigated for something else, but I'm sorry. They were arrested literally the day after Ukraine blew up 5 of their missiles that were unstoppable missiles. It still looks to me like these guys were arrested because of the missiles. I mean, maybe there's something else going on, but then the missiles happened and they went, that's it. But we don't know anything else about it. I mean, that's like all we know of what's been going on. Yep. No other news on the scientists or the charges. Oh, the charges were treason, but I don't know anything more than that. No. Any more questions on TikTok? I've got one more here. I had the thought Russia is giving Belarus nukes so they could use it in case Russia loses, but blame Belarus. Oh, I see what you mean. You mean that they could use the nukes like against Ukraine, but say it wasn't us, it was Belarus. I don't think so. First of all, because the Russians are not giving the Belarusians control of the nukes. They've already said, which makes sense, that they're going to keep control themselves with the Russian troops. So it's not going to make a difference there. So no, I mean, cute idea, but I don't. Excuse me, I'm going to yawn at you guys. I don't think that's what's going on. I don't think so. But possible though. What else we got, guys? Any more questions here? Like I said, feel free to submit questions on TikTok or YouTube or on the screen. I don't know Zelensky's politics otherwise. That's a good question. What side of politics is Zelensky on? I don't know his politics. I mean, Ukrainians here? What are Zelensky's politics like before the war kicked in? Hey, Daniel, thank you. You're always Mr. Question. Since when do you just have a super sticker? I always count on you for questions, Daniel. Thank you for that. But I don't know Zelensky's politics. That's a really funny question. If anybody knows, feel free to join. I mean, I'll try to read the comments at the bottom of the screen when you post them. Callum's saying he thinks he's pretty center. What servant of the people? But that's not really his politics, though, right? Yep. Sorry, just looking here. When can Ukraine join NATO? At the very least, after the war. I mean, that's clear. That's clear. It's got to be after the war, because I mean they're fighting over territory right now. If they joined NATO, then Russia would be fighting against NATO. It would be confusing. I mean, we'd have to get involved like militarily, so they'd have to wait. But the bigger problem is it's a lot of things. I mean, initially I would have worried about France and Germany. Now I'd be more worried about Turkey and Hungary. Hungary, because Hungary is, a paid, I don't know what word I can use. I'm sorry, what word that's right. We use the word sex worker now. Hungary is a sex worker, is Putin's sex worker. So that's what Hungary is. So Hungary would not let, there's no way they would let Ukraine in. Well, they're more than a shill. They're paid for sex by Putin. They're more than just a shill. They literally, that's what Orban's for. He's for Putin. So there's no way he'd let Ukraine in. Turkey just wants to be a pain in the ass. The whole Sweden thing, both of them are still blocking Sweden. As far as I'm concerned, we can cut them both. Hungary serves no purpose in NATO. Turkey has a purpose, but honestly, if Turkey's going to do crap like this, I say cut Turkey loose too. But that's going to be a problem for Ukraine going forward. Now, I think is going to be more these other countries. Although, the U.S. is still, although the U.S. is being vague about it, I think because you still have Biden not wanting to provoke Putin. That's why I think you've got him sort of keeping it. Well, we'll talk about that after the war. But more things here saying Zelensky was pro-EU, anti-Russia, as he should be. I remember he was trying to negotiate with Putin back right when he was elected, right? That he was trying to negotiate with Putin to create peace and all of this, and it went nowhere. Everybody's saying centrist. Yep, super populist, centrist, anti-Russian, but peace. That's the one thing I do remember. Yeah, yep. Turkey has 300 F-16s. How did that happen? Because two things. I mean, thank you, Bonnie. Turkey and the Greeks, there's constant. Lately it's been more Turkey than the Greeks, but both of them have wanted fighters for that reason. Turkey is right on the edge of the Middle East. So you've got Turkey right there with Iraq, right there with Syria, right? So it kind of makes sense why, if Turkey's a member of NATO, we might want to beef them up a little more. But once you beef Turkey up, then you got to beef Greece up to keep things even. But my guess is that's why Turkey's got them, because we need Turkey. They're in a strategic place. Turkey needed them because they are jutting out into the Middle East. And Turkey probably said, you want to keep me in NATO, you keep giving me Turkey. I think Turkey's playing us. And at some point we may want to play Turkey back, and say, you know what, you're going to keep being a jerk, leave NATO. You can't, you want to go to Russia. You want to make Russia your patron. Okay. Right. You want to tie your economy to Russia. Okay. You want to use Russian weapons instead. Okay, great. We'd be happy to give Greece the F-35s and you don't get anything, Thank you, CK, for the super sticker. CK, who also made the lovely pair of Ukrainian themed earrings that we are auctioning off right now in our auction over at the Discord, discord.aravosis.com. So go check it out. She is our wonderful jeweler. Donated them just so we could raise money for Ukraine and for my work. Thank you both. Well, that's the interesting question. Yeah, Jens is saying some U.S. politicians said Turkey will let Sweden in because U.S. agreed to sell F-16s. Turkey, the thing is, there's a lot of stuff going on here, right? Turkey wants to be part of the EU. They're being held out because Greece is vetoing it because of Cyprus, which is correct, or what they should be doing. I'm trying to think what the other thing is. I'm mixing up Hungary here too. Turkey. I think I'm trying to remember. What I'm trying to remember is whether. Thank you for that, Annie. Sorry, real quick. Does anybody know when does Ukraine have the next presidential election? It's probably postponed because they're under martial law right now. But does anybody know? But I'm trying to think what else was going on with Turkey before the war, as far as were they in trouble getting some of the fighter jets they wanted? You know, I mean, I believe we told them if they weren't going to support Sweden, like we were cutting back some of the jets we were giving them. I think we were going to sell them. I know Congress would. Congress would absolutely say screw you if Turkey's being a jerk about it. Colonel Mustard says illegal to hold elections during a war, so probably a few years. I mean, I know it's martial law. They wouldn't hold an election. It would be stupid to try to hold an election now anyway because people can't vote. How do people get to vote? People are out of the country. People are away from home. I mean, it almost wouldn't be a fair election. Not at almost. I don't think it would be a fair election at this point. If you had one. That's okay. That's what I thought. I didn't want to say it, Tom. Tomcat was just saying on TikTok. I thought that's what I remember, but I didn't want to say it. Turkey was removed from the F-35 program, which is like our newest fighter jet, and received F-16s as a compromise. So they got the F-16s, which are fine, but they're old and they're not as good as the F-35s. And they wanted the F-35s. That's it. My guess is in the end, Turkey will get the F-35s. They've got to come around on Sweden, but then you've got Hungary being jerks. And Hungary's playing games because Orban wants to be a dictator just like Erdogan in Turkey. He's been cutting back on I've seen people, like experts say that Hungary is no longer a democracy. I mean, like they've gone that far as to say it's no longer a democracy officially because of everything that Orban has done there. And because of that, thank you, Timothy, because of that, the European Union, I believe, has been withholding money from Hungary. I don't think that money has come yet. So Hungary and Sweden has been a big critic of Hungary over the democracy aspect. So Hungary's now saying, well, you criticize us on democracy and bip, so we're not going to support you. And it's like, So Hungary clearly wants to be bought off too. Hungary only did it after Turkey did it, by the way. So Hungary, had this been real from Hungary, they would have said it at the beginning and they didn't. They only did it once Turkey was doing it. Wasn't sure how long he'd been president. Understand, can't have elections now. Yeah, I always forget. So was it 2018, 2019 that Zelensky won? Help me out here, folks. 18 or 19, I think, was Zelensky's election. I'm pretty sure. Just throw it in there. Well, the talk today was 2019. Okay, thank you. The talk today was that Sweden said, I don't know if Sweden said it wants to be or it sees itself being joining NATO by July at the NATO summit in July. The only thing is, I don't know whether that was an indication that something's moving or whatever. But as I said, my fear is we're going to have to buy off the Turks. Thank you, Timothy. And probably have to buy off the damn Hungarians as well, which is too bad because both of them deserve to be basically threatened and told you're going to be bad allies. If you don't want to be our allies, don't be our allies. Great. Russia's resurgent, not to mention Russia's resurgent, they'd love to have a piece of Turkey, and Hungary, well, so who knows? Oh, I forgot about that. Is that why they lost? I remember we were pissed about it. I didn't realize that's why they lost it. Espy is saying on Twitch that Turkey lost the F-35 deal because they bought Russian S-400 air defense systems. Okay, so it was not related to the Ukraine stuff. It was the Swedish stuff. It wasn't related to Sweden and NATO. It was related to it was just the arms purchase. Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay. I do have a few more of the bracelets made from the Michael was asking. I have a few more of the bracelets from the steel from Azovstal. I'm going to put one up in a few weeks. We just had one. I've only got a couple more. So I'm going to wait a few weeks and then there will be one auctioned off over on the Discord. Yep. It was the Russian missiles. Oh, okay. Thanks, guys. I did not realize that. That's interesting. Okay. Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. A few more questions, folks. And then maybe, no, what the store has is clothing. The store has t-shirts and hoodies, cool Ukrainian themed stuff. The cool stuff, I think the t-shirts are cool. It's store.aravosis.com. You can find the store aravosis.com link or the link on TikTok. The link on TikTok in my profile takes you to everything. It takes you to a page that has everything. But in the store, you'll find our t-shirts and cool t-shirts and stuff like that. And half of the profits from those go to Ukraine. But then on the Discord, discord.aravosis.com, thank you for that, Amanda. On the Discord, we've got the auctions, and the auctions are that kind of cool stuff. The auctions are the bracelets, some Russian stuff from the war. I'm forgetting all the stuff we've got. Actually, I think I've got the coolest stuff up that I've had in a while. I intentionally saved a lot of it for the end of the month for people's paychecks to come in. So there's really cool stuff on the Discord right now in the auctions, but do check it out. It's discord.aravosis.com. But as I said, you can also just go to aravosis.com or the link in my profile on TikTok, and you'll see all the, you'll see all of it. There is a store. Yep. store.aravosis.com. Actually, the easiest thing for you to do, just go to aravosis.com, like I said, which is that link that's on the screen right now on YouTube, etc. And that link gives you my store and everything else. The store has cool t-shirts and stuff. Some neat designs that we did. Donating something for us to sell that I could auction. Is it Ukrainian? It depends, I guess, where you're sending it from and to. I mean, we've been auctioning off Ukrainian stuff, basically. I'm trying to think, probably I mean, if you want, you can just email me. I mean, my email is public anyway. It's my last name at gmail.com. So just aravosis@gmail.com. You can email me and maybe tell me what it is or what you've got. I mean, I'm open to suggestions if it's something that is legal and would be interesting. TikTok auction is difficult because I don't know how to do it on TikTok. I don't even know how we would do it. I mean, the Discord is nice because we've literally got software that lets us do it there. But on TikTok, I just have no idea how to even do that. Monthly payments for the account in terms of just would be Ko-fi. Exactly. You just subscribed on Ko-fi. Thank you, Huva. It's Ko-fi.com, which is KO-FI. Again, that link is in my profile on TikTok. So just go to my profile, the Linktree link. I'll even show you just to make it easier. So you look at my profile on TikTok, you zoom in, and above the Q&A and the tips, you see Linktree/Aravosis HTTPS, right? You click that link, and it is coming up a page of links. Same thing for you guys, aravosis.com. It ends up being a page of links. The top link is a fundraiser we're doing for these kids. The second link is Ko-fi. You go to Ko-fi or coffee. I think they call it coffee. I call it Ko-fi. You go to coffee, and you can either do membership, which is our Discord, or just doing a simple donation. You can go, I believe, to the about. Yeah, you can go to the about and just give a tip. And the tip, I think, can be monthly. Yeah, the tip can be monthly or just one time. Oh, this is kind of funky here. Interesting. Sorry, Syndicate. I'm just seeing something interesting. So the way to do it monthly is I may have to set something up here. Okay. It's got the one time you can do, and you can pick the amount of money. The monthly is only the monthly categories we have set up for the Discord. So I just realized that now. Okay. So yes, you could do monthly, but you'd have to go over to Ko-fi, which again, link is in our profile. And the monthly, it only lets you do the categories we've got it set up for Discord. I'd have to see if I can put up a category that's less, but I don't want to confuse the Discord people because I don't want people thinking they're signing up for Discord and they bought like a $3 a month, but then they're not getting the Discord. So I've got it starting at $7.99 because they're the Discord categories we had. Anyway, that's how you do it. But thank you for asking, though. I appreciate it. All right, guys. I'm going to do it. It's really hard, though. It's really hard. The Ivan curse. So the intelligence ship, real quick, I'll talk about the intelligence ship and then we'll go. We don't know. I'll answer that one instead. Why do we need to be involved? Well, if you mean, why do we need to be involved in this war? Because Russia is one of the three biggest threats that America faces and that the world faces. It's China, it's terrorism, and it's Russia. The fourth might be Iran nuclear. Okay. Thank you, Wayne. Russia, when it was the Soviet Union and Russia ran the Soviet Union, terrorized the world for 80 years, 70 years, actually. Thank you, Ray, for the hearts. Especially after World War II, Russia had a secret pact with the Nazis. They decided to split up Europe. They were going to give the Nazis Western Europe and Russia was going to take Eastern Europe. The Nazis then turned around and attacked the Russians like 2 years in. So the Russians suddenly had to go to war with the Nazis. So the Russians love to talk about how they went to war with the Nazis. Thank you, Wayne. The only reason the Russians went to war with the Nazis is because they did it because the Russians attacked them first. Well, World War II finishes, and what happens next? The Russians then take over half of Europe. They take over Europe, hold it hostage. I kid you not. They literally cut Europe in half, took it hostage, and imposed a Stalinist communist dictatorship, a horrific communist dictatorship on Eastern Europe, killing anybody. I mean, putting them in prison just because of their ideas, killing them. Horrific what they did to these people. You fast forward to now, and you can see what they're doing in Ukraine. The concern isn't just that, okay, should you care about genocide? Should you care about somebody trying to wipe out a country of 43 million people? If you don't care about that, maybe you should care a little bit more that it's in Europe, because Europe is still our backyard as well. It's Russia's backyard, but it's ours as well, because our closest contacts are really with Europe. We've got some with Asia, but Europe is, our sort of big security backyard. It is clear that Putin is interested in some of the European countries, the other European countries. He's interested in the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. He's interested in Poland. Well, once you start mucking around with that, now you're mucking around with NATO, and we will not have a choice but to be in a war if Putin starts to go after those areas. And the concern is that Putin, if he wins in Ukraine, he's going to be emboldened to start taking pieces from Poland, again, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, etc. And then we're in a war, because we got to go to war if that happens, because they're members of NATO. We don't have a choice. That's why we care. Russia is turning back into the Soviet Union. We are watching it turn back into the Soviet Union. And you can Google what happened with the Soviet Union if you want. Wasn't a happy thing what happened there. So, I mean, there's lots of other reasons, but that's the concern. So, well, tell the Poles he doesn't want Poland. I mean, fair enough, 777, but tell the Poles he doesn't want Poland, and they may disagree with you. They would disagree with you. So, all right. Thank you, Dinan. All right. Let me do a quick summary. And I did see somebody just signed up. Thank you for that. Somebody just signed up on the subscription. That was nice of you. Who was it? Rodolfo. Thank you, Rodolfo. I appreciate that. But I don't know. I'm going to say, with a name like that, I'm going to say Argentine even, but who knows? Who knows? I worked in Argentina for a little bit, but your name, just something about it makes me think Argentine, but I could totally be wrong. But anyway, thank you very much. That was very sweet of you. Thank you. Thank you, Wayne, for that. For the beep, beep, beep. All right, let me do a quick the ship. So basically, okay, the ship. So the Ukrainians attacked a Russian intelligence ship. The Russians claimed, you didn't hit the ship. They were using unmanned vehicles, which I just saw the other day. Oh God, the Navy's calling them they don't want to use the word man anymore for unmanned, which I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, come on. They're called unserviced vehicle. There's some funny word they use. Uncrewed. They called them uncrewed, I think. Uncrewed surface vehicles. And I was like, uncrewed? Like there's no crew on them. Uncrewed. Anyway, it was very weird. But in any case, they're unmanned vehicles. They use some boats. They're saying it was everyone's saying it was an intelligence ship. The Ivan Kurs, however, I've got to see the name again in Russian to pronounce it correctly. But Ivan, because Ivan, John, and Hurs, I think it was Hurs, like H-U-R-S. In any case, the Russians said, they didn't hit the ship. We blew up all the little unmanned vehicles. Basically, the Ukrainians were using boat drones, as I'm calling them, boat drones to attack the Russian ships. So these unmanned boat drones with bombs in them. The Russians said, we blew up all the boats. They didn't even touch us. The Ukrainians then released a video showing one of the boats literally coming right up next to the Russian ship right before it blew up. Well, that would suggest that it blew up next to the ship and caused some damage. The Russians then showed video of the boat coming into port or in port maybe, and claimed it was okay. Again, we're dealing with Russia. We shouldn't believe that this is a recent picture or video, because they lie. There's now a second video from the Ukrainians from the other side that appears to show one unmanned vehicle boat blowing up further away from the boat, possibly one blowing up in front of it or on the side of it, hard to tell, and the one blowing up right in the back on the other side now, which we knew blew up there. It certainly looks like it caused some damage. Nobody knows. The other weird thing that's been going on is that there is a we were discussing this today. No, was this in our Discord today? I think today on Discord you guys were sharing this, but I also saw it on Twitter that there was a lot of NATO spy planes flying, not just flying over the Black Sea. Normally they come across like this, okay? The spy planes were coming and going like this multiple times and then going back and forth. And they did it in two areas, boom and boom, boom, like this. Some of the conjecture was it was almost as if we were looking around, for a sunken ship ourselves. I don't know. There was also conjecture that the Russians, or actually somebody had suggested that the Russians had a search and rescue vehicle in the area. So, it's possible, who knows what happened? It's possible some of the crew got knocked off the ship and are missing. It's possible the ship sank and the Russians are lying about it. As we said, they lie about this stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if they faked the video, right? Totally possible. So who knows? Who knows? Thank you, Christine, for that. All right, let me give you guys the quick roundup of the news we talked about today, and then I'm going to go. Probably not doing the weekend shows because I am I'm flying tomorrow. So maybe there's a Sunday show. I don't know. Sunday morning. Let's see. I just don't know. Sunday doing my weekend review and that stuff, maybe, but I'm not totally convinced. Just because I'm getting into DC tomorrow night. So let's see. I'm gonna play it by ear if I do. Otherwise, I'm back Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, US. All right, quick wrap up of the news we talked about today. Weird Ukrainian intelligence saying that the Russians may be planning to attack the Ukrainian nuclear plant in Zaporizhzhia in the next few hours and trying to set it up and pretend like there's a radiation leak, do a fake radiation leak in order to force a ceasefire for the investigation. The Netherlands will likely, reportedly, send F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. Sophie's saying she saw a Turkish search and rescue copter in the area on a flight radar today. That's what we keep seeing is this search and rescue going on in the area, which is very suspicious if nothing happened, right? Russia attacked a hospital and veterinary clinic in the Ukrainian town of Dnipro, killing 2 people and injuring more than 31 as of last count. There were explosions near the Azovstal plant in Mariupol, which means the Ukrainians were attacking. Large explosions also in a small village in Belgorod, Russia, across the border. Thank you, Bonnie, for the happy Friday. That also means Ukraine was attacking Russia. The U.S. chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Milley, says that Russia can no longer achieve victory in Ukraine and that Ukraine is now capable of liberating all of its territories. Good news. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina was in Kyiv today, pushing basically, thank you, Purnell, for the Friday gift, trying to push the Biden administration to give more weapons to Ukraine. That's great. Chris Owicki, a guy I follow on Twitter, a defense guy, basically talked about corrupt Russian officers who allegedly are letting Russian military recruits, draftees, give the officer half their paycheck. Like in the military, they get like $2,000 a month or something like that. Thank you, Crazy American, for the heart, and Courtney as well. For the military, they get like $2,000 a month or whatever it is. Their military salary, the Russian officers are letting you pay them half of your military salary, and they'll let you stay home and pretend that you're at the front with them. Just, Russia. China is still calling for freezing the conflict in place, a ceasefire. NATO today told them to take a hike. We then talked about Russia's nukes in Belarus and whether they're even going there. They may not be. Russia may be lying again. But also, it seems to be, thank you, Katie Young, less an issue of Russia moving nukes because the nukes matter for security, but more an issue of Russia moving the nukes in so they can move their troops with it and slowly and stealthily take over Belarus. The price of natural gas in the European Union is at a 2-year low, which is great. It means Russia's plan to use it to basically go after the okay, Rodolfo. It's reminding me about Rodolfo again. I thanked Rodolfo. Don't remind me again. So gas is at a 2-year low, natural gas, which is great because it means the Russians are failing to use it as a weapon against Europe. I didn't mention Drunk Medvedev. Drunk Medvedev, whose member was the former prime minister and president, who now just lashes out and talks about nuclear weapons 3 times or nuclear war 3 times a week. Well, he talked about nuclear war again today. He did it again, I think yesterday or the day before, literally 3 times a week. This guy talks about nuclear war. Today he said, this war could go on for decades. Thank you, Katie Young, for the heart there. The war could go on for decades. You're like, sure. With what money and what troops and what with whose military do you plan on doing this? I mean, you lost 200,000 men in the last year. How exactly do you plan on doing this, right? But in any case, and he warned of a preemptive nuclear strike against the West. Good luck with that. The best part was one of the clearly, actually, I will say this. This was a coordinated message because Solovov, or whatever the hell his name is, Soloviev or whatever, the idiot who does the nightly TV show and he has his little podcast, his radio show too, he said the same thing. He was talking about maybe we should just attack England. We should just blow up the little island with our Poseidon nuclear weapon. And it was great. One of the people on, this was last night on Russian TV, one of the guests on the show goes, I'm all, because of course it's Russia. You can't say no. He goes, I'm all for using our nuclear weapons. I just don't want to be around when NATO fires back at us. And that's exactly the point. They're not going to use their nuclear weapons on us. They're not going to do a preemptive strike, because what's going to happen next is they do against the Brits, and the Brits have nuclear submarines, and those nuclear submarines are going to destroy Moscow, St. Petersburg, and every major Russian city if they attack London. That's going to be the end of Russia. It's going to be the end of the world, but it's also going to be the end of Russia. And the same thing will happen if they attack America. And frankly, if they attack Britain, they're at war with America anyway, and they're at war with the French. And guess what? The French also have nuclear weapons, and they also have them on nuclear submarines. And we've got something like 12 or more nuclear submarines that are active duty with weapons on them as well. They're not doing a preemptive strike. This is just more of the BS that's meant for the Russian public. He's also just a drunk. I mean, he just says these things, but it's meant for the Russian public, and it's meant to freak people out, because at least somebody, I know who you are, somebody's going to say, does he mean it? Right? I mean, they're trying to freak people out in the West by convincing us that, oh my God, maybe they will use their nukes. They're not going to use their nukes. They're not going to use their nukes, because we will use our nukes. It'll be the end of the world. And yeah, that would be bad. But guess who else knows that would be bad? The Russians know it would be bad. They want to destroy us. They don't want to destroy themselves. And they know that we will respond in kind and blow them up if they blow us up. So they're not going to. And by the way, it was implied, but let me make clear. There's no way for them to blow us up and win. They can't hit all of our nukes because of the nuclear submarines. Forget even on land, good luck. But because of the nuclear submarines, they can't hit a submarine at all. So there's no way for them to, surprise us and blow up all our nukes. They can't. We will have more than enough left to destroy them. And again, then it's the end of the world, which Russia doesn't want. So, all right, that's my happy end of the show. Thank you guys. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the chat. Thank you, mods, for going after the trolls. I at least did see you guys were saying earlier on. I went on MSNBC and CNN years ago, like to go on again, but you have to know somebody, meaning the producers and stuff change all the time. So all of a sudden the producers, go and they don't have you on, but I like going on. It's fun. It's fun. Who knows? If they have me back, I'll be back. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much. And I will see you at the very least on Monday. Okay. Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, US, I'll be back. And I'll be back in DC. So Washington, DC. So, oh yeah, the old shows are out there, Brad. Yep. Look, with my hair nice and dark and 5 pounds less, or maybe even 10. All right, guys, I'll see you. Thank you all for helping out tonight. Appreciate it. All right. Bye-bye.